I'm now ready for the second pass in ZBrush, just painting some more specific parts and getting rid of everything else so I can add one more level of subdivision, and I'm gonna add some more details, final details on that mesh. So here I'm using the standard brush, and by drawing really fast on your tablet you're gonna have that spot effect. I'm using it a lot for insect characters and stuff like that, so it's really a fast way to get this bumpy looking hard shell. You can change the size of the brush, the intensity, and maybe try to paint more dots in the cracks, stuff like that. So I'm just going over the whole arm right now and adding those details only on the parts that are gonna be not made of skin apparently, but that might change after. But I'm already deciding at that stage what kind of material I'm gonna apply to that surface. So here on one side of the arm it's gonna be more like a maybe like a scorpion, black hard shell, and on the other side of the arm is gonna be more fleshy with some small wrinkles and skin folds. So I'm gonna start applying some alphas in the projection master. So for that I'm mostly using the ZBrush alpha library that you can find on Aaron Sims' DVD, and for more specific parts like the wings I'm gonna show you later how to create your own alpha maps. That's gonna be the next chapter. For now I'm just gonna use the library that I have right there. So it's also important to really experiment a lot of alphas and try to see which one you're gonna use. I'm not gonna use all of that. I'm gonna use like maybe 3 of them, 4 of them maximum. So right now I'm really testing all the alphas and trying to find the one that is I'm gonna add a little bit everywhere. So I think that one is pretty good. It has some kind of curvature to it, so I can really put it at the end of every muscle, or every time I have a transition between 2 muscles I can use that alpha. After each projection you're gonna have to smooth out those little extrusions that are created with the projection. And I'm gonna really quickly add some final details to the arm, switching from projection to 3D mode. So always try to have the right angle and the right brush. I'm using the directional brush to paint all those details, so that way I can really decide the size of my wrinkles and the orientation also. So make sure you look at your mesh from every angle. You can see that I'm gonna try to add some map on the back of that finger here, just because it might be animated later, so you never know. You can have it's possible that you could see, if he bent his finger, then you would see the other side. So it's important to make sure you paint everywhere, and that way you also using your UVs, because I unfold this arm, so I'm sure that every part of it is it's have the right UVs, and I can really paint details everywhere I want. So for the back of his arms, it's gonna be more fleshy, so here I'm testing different alphas, just trying different ones and put them a little bit everywhere to see which one is the best and where to use it. So I'm probably gonna redo that. For now I'm just testing all the alphas, but again I'm still gonna use the same ones. It's also a good way to stay consistent with the kind of detail that you're adding. It's good to have the same details everywhere, same kind of skin folds or wrinkles. So yeah, I start to know which one I'm gonna use. So I'm just gonna undo that and quickly redo it once more, just so it's gonna be more clean. And I'm gonna add one more subdivision level too for those very fine details. So just using only one alpha, you can see that I'm really painting it. The 3D view, and I'm gonna try to blend those details a little bit better with the 3D. So using the alphas as a guide, I'm just gonna paint over it some bigger skin folds. That way I'm really gonna blend the map and the 3D. So using the same direction with the deco brush, I'm gonna go back and paint some more wrinkles. I'm also gonna smooth that a little bit, and also using the inflate tool, I'm gonna make those wrinkles look a little bit more fat. So I'm gonna smooth a little bit everything and then inflate. Just a little bit, so they look a little bit more organic, those wrinkles. And of course I have to go back and clean clean the mesh from the projection. So I'm still gonna reshape everything, create some nice sockets for his clothes. And refining those ribs a little bit better. So I'm almost done with that part. I'm gonna skip the other parts, most of the other parts, because basically it's gonna be the same process. I don't want to repeat myself too much, so I'm just gonna show you the same pass on the one side of his head. Actually, both sides of his head. Still adding a little bit more bump to those scales, and make sure that you paint every part of the model. You can see in the back of his arm I have no maps right now, so I'm gonna need to add some more details here, just to be consistent with the rest of the model. So now I'm really looking for the right map to use in there, trying some different ones. So I'm gonna go for some kind of leathery skin. Now I'm gonna do the same kind of details on the head. Those details are gonna be a little bit more specific to his face. He just have some really specific features on his face. So to make those small wires thingy, I'm gonna use the really thin deco brush, and you see that I'm undoing a lot until I get really the right curve. Just laying out those details right now. And still with the deco brush, I'm gonna try to refine all those details. I'm gonna start adding some skin folds, and so here I'm going back and smoothing that out a little bit. It's always important to save your work. And I'm gonna start painting more details. I'm still adjusting the main shape around his mouth, and I'm gonna add some small wrinkles on his lips with the deco brush, and then in 3D mode I'm gonna go back and smooth that out, and also using the inflate tool I'm gonna inflate them a little bit. slowly painting all those details and switching back and forth with projection master. So I'm just gonna use the standard brush in projection and try to draw those kind of electrodes on his head. So that's really the fun part of the modeling. I would say my favorite part is texturing, but that part's really fun too. So I'm just playing with the mesh right now and trying to see what kind of detail I can add in there. Trying to recreate what I can see on the concept. So those are really the final details that you're gonna add to the model. Okay, going back to 3D mode, and I'm gonna inflate and scale and just refine all those details in 3D mode a little bit more. Adding some bumps around it. So it's look a little bit more organic. And again, it's also a good way to really mix the 3D and the 2D that you painted on it. It's important that all those details, you have to make sure they don't look like they're really painted on your mesh. You really have to make sure that it's actually looking like 3D bumps and 3D details. Right now they look a little bit too painted on, so I'm reworking those details, adding some bumps around them. And it's always good to also to zoom out and look at your model, make sure everything is where it should be. So now I'm gonna start adding some alpha maps on there. So I'm gonna start with the scaly skin on the side of his head. So it's basically the same map that I used on the shoulders of his arms. And so it's gonna be a nice transition between the shoulder and the body by using the same map. and that's also something that you can find on the concept by Carlos Huante. So trying to find the good orientation for those. Yeah, that should be fine. So you see, I'm trying to keep the flow, to respect the flow of his muscles. Try to blend that, make it look natural. It's really easy to add a lot of details with ZBrush, but it's important that you make sure you're doing the right thing. Adding the right details at the right spot is really important. I could just paint wrinkles all over it, but it's just not gonna look nice. I really have to find the best spot to draw those wrinkles, and also find the appropriate alpha for every part. So I'm using the same alpha as I used on the arms, just adding some small wrinkles, a little bit everywhere. So already defining that all his head is gonna be flesh with a skin material. And still using those small wrinkles and adding some bigger ones. Use that as a guide and add some bigger ones to blend everything together. And then I probably have to come back and side of the head, but that shouldn't be too hard. I'm also gonna try to add some skin pores. I'm gonna have one level of detail that I'm gonna have with bump maps, but I still want to have the main pores and skin texture visible in the normal map. So right now I'm kind of trying to find some ideas. So you see that I skip I just redid the same thing on the other side of the head, but it's basically exactly the same thing, just redoing it on the other side. And here I'm adding some more wrinkles, more refined details, kind of like lips, wrinkles, or other part of the body that I would not name. Some kind of orifice. So, and every time I'm working in projection mode, I try to paint details a little bit everywhere. from the same angle, and I'm gonna smooth that out a little bit. So I'm starting to have some nice details on the head. Always have to clean the mesh, and I'm gonna inflate that a little bit, all those very small wrinkles there, make them a little bit more fat. So we're almost done with that detailing part, but you can see that it's really a fun part, and it's really adding a lot of really nice detail to the mesh. There's always going to be one side looking better than the other, but it doesn't matter really. Adding some more skin folds on the side. Always make sure and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Add some more wrinkles onto that orifice. Exactly the same details that I did on the other side. That's why it's important for you to know exactly what kind of details you're doing everywhere, and then it's not going to be too hard to redo it on the other side after that. And it's also good to keep that asymmetrical look to the mesh. So I just need to make sure everything is clean, and after I'm gonna be done with the head. All those final details, and then I will show you how to bring all those details into max using normal maps and dirt maps. So that's it, we're done with that chapter.